wanted to be married, and now you've run
Whatever.
off.
I mean,
you
I'm
wanted to
sorry.
be married just to stay in the country.
Sorry?
Why did you use him? You could never, you can't
Trish, I
even
was
say
in
that you
love
ever
with him.
loved
I
him.
loved him so much. It's not true.
Ooh. There she's getting confronted for her behavior.
Star Experience.
Привет and привit from the port of Odessa in southern Ukraine. And today I have another reaction video to a couple on the US TV series 90 Day Fiancé. Just shot the first in this two-part series from 2021 and the couples. There are, I try to review these couples that obviously involve my region of expertise, which is Eastern Europe. So the concept of 90 Day Fiancé, if you're not aware, if you haven't watched the other videos, and I'll link in the description links to the other reaction videos I've done from last year, some super good content there. And of course, the video I did last week on the vodcast. But basically, what happens, one of the easiest ways, if you meet a woman from Eastern Europe and you happen to be American and you want to bring her back home, in this reaction video, we're going to discuss whether that's such a good idea or not. You don't have very many options to get her a visa. It's actually extremely hard unless you're already married, which might be the case, or, which is actually the most common way, or very common way, is actually to come bring your significant other, your fiance, to the US on a fiance visa. And then you get 90 days to either get married or call the whole thing off and she can go home. Now, obviously this works for both men and women, but for the purposes of my channel, we're gonna stick to focusing on Eastern European women who are in relationships with American men on the series. And in fact, I don't even, they do have the other way around actually on one of them, which is interesting and I might review in a future video. But for now, we're gonna stick to our new couple, which is Natalie and Mike. So last week I reviewed Jovi, who was from Louisiana, and Yara from Kiev. And this time we're reviewing another Ukrainian-American relationship. And I'm not gonna go through, there were just like such a myriad of clips, or you can watch the whole thing unfold, obviously, on TV, and we'll go through it all. I'm just gonna pick out a few segments that I think are the most important in terms of educating you about some of the issues you might face if you are one of the guys who come here. And we'll go into more detail about how he meets her in this, which is a different way. He didn't actually come here to Ukraine at all to meet her. That's not how he found her. But if you do end up in a relationship, say with a Ukrainian woman or a woman from another part of Eastern Europe, and you try to bring her back to America, there are some really, really juicy, pertinent situations in this reality TV show. And of course, just to point out if it's not obvious, they are following around. They do try to make things more melodramatic than maybe they are happening in reality, but actually they really are indicative of real life situations that I see guys having when they try to bring a woman from Eastern Europe back to Uncle Sam to the US. So let's dive into today's video.
One of my best friends, Matt, got married to his wife, Svetlana, from Kyiv, Ukraine. They had a baby and they named me the godfather. And his wife's best friend, they named the godmother.
So there you see, actually had a personal connection. His friend met a woman from Kiev, and then he was made the godfather of their child, and he was introduced to the godmother, I guess remotely. And that is the connection. Привет. And that's actually pretty good example of kind of, I guess, social circle, which is actually, I guess, historically the most common way that people met each other. So there you can see it can also happen internationally if your buddy happens to have got married and had a child with a Ukrainian.
When Svetlana showed me pictures of Natalie, I thought at first sight that she was absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. She was showing me some pictures of her riding horses and doing some modeling. She told me we're both family-oriented. She lives with her mom, and she has a couple degrees in psychology and journalism. I was hesitant at first, and I was thinking to myself, why in the world would this woman possibly be interested in a guy like me,
that's going to come up as very pertinent in this one. Basically, what he's saying is he can already sense a value gap between them, in the sense that he sees her as very high value, based primarily on her looks, and he doesn't see himself as particularly high value, and this will come into play when we analyze the relationship.
I mean, not saying I'm not a catch, you know, but
Yeah, not quite a catch. Anyways, we'll go into it more, but I have another podcast about the value gap. It's really important to this episode, so probably afterwards you should go and watch that. I'll link it up above in a card down below in the description.
But I texted him and said, hey, my name's Mike. And then we just started, you know, just texting back and forth a little bit. And then the friendship started blooming from there. And she said she would really like for me to come out there and see if we hit it off. And so I booked a flight and I shot off to Kyiv, Ukraine.
All right, so there you see how it came about. He actually went to see her in Kiev. This is actually all pretty good by him. So far, I mean, he had, you know, the social connection via his friend. And, you know, he's able to vet that she's not some sort of weird scammer girl, almost certainly, once you have that social connection. And he got off his ass and flew to Kiev to see if he could make it happen. So, actually, pretty positive about him so far. All pretty good, but you're going to see the issues that start to arise now. And a lot of it is to do with the fact that she is in her mid-30s.
I really want to have a kid as soon as possible. But, I mean, I think that, you know, our main thing right now is to probably wait a little bit and get you to America first, you know, so we can get our feet on the ground.
Wrong answer.
Wrong answer? Mm-hmm. Want to start making a baby right now?
Why not?
Because I think it's important that we kind of wait.
They're both healthy. Everything is fine.
So there you see just the different personal interests that they have, or incentives. He is still a good bit from his wall, we'll say, right, where his value will start to decline because of age on the dating market, and basically because of fertility, hers is, you know, she's at the wall basically in her mid-30s, and she needs to have children. This is perfectly normal. She has a biological clock, right? But you can see that they don't know each other extremely well, and she's pushing to already have the baby. And he's saying, hold on a sec.
You are right. You don't want to wait a little bit at least?
Give me the reason.
Just because we need to get you to America first, baby. You know, I think
Does
it's
it
really
matter?
important. It matters a little bit, don't you
Why?
think? Huh?
Why?
Because I want to get us more settled in, you know? Like, I want to take care of some things. I want to get you there. I want to get you all settled in. I think there's just some key things that we need to get worked out.
What a look. So they're in fact still in Ukraine. I didn't realize that. And she wants to have the baby before, I guess they're waiting on the visa still so she can go to America. And she wants to already have the baby inside her. Wow. But he's been very pragmatic. He wants to get things set up. He's not under the same time pressure. So there you can see there's already a lot of differing, you know, interests in terms of what they're, you know, the biological constraints that they're under. And this is already, you know, creating a lot of tension between them.
Natalie is very persistent about starting a family right now. I, on the other hand, am not ready to have them right this moment. I do feel like I need to talk to Natalie about my debt and where we stand right now before we consider having a child. I don't feel comfortable starting a family until I can take care of it.
I was just thinking, you know, like while I'm waiting in Ukraine, I could be with Belly. And still we're like in this situation, like we never know. They can call us tomorrow and say visa is ready. They can call us in, I don't know, 6 months.
All right, so apparently he has a debt situation he needs to take care of. Obviously, he's thinking about whether he's going to be able to support the child. She just sees that biological clock, and yeah, she's just calculating, I guess, that worst case scenario, she has a child by the time she gets to America, and a father has to figure out how to support it. Or maybe she's herself willing to support it. That's not clear. Let's go on to the next clip.
Look, I'm home, baby. Come on in. This is the mud room.
It's all dirty.
I get always money in it. Welcome home, love. You take your bag?
Let me see.
Have a seat.
Is this what you were expecting?
No, I don't know. It just no. I mean, the house is really small and the voice is very, very cold.
There she talks about the house being really small. So again, not living up to the socio-economic expectations she had of moving to America with this guy.
The rice is done. We're almost
Don't
ready.
touch me.
We're
You
almost
don't
ready.
respect me. And you're drunk. Oh my God, I'm scared of you.
So now they've actually arrived in America, and you start to see major issues in terms of compatibility. So let's roll it on.
A low-class drunk man.
Whoa. How respectful.
Whatever.
You are so respectful, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
She's always calling low class. Like, what is this low class stuff? Like, I don't understand it. She thinks like everything is so bad around here. Oh, I'm so low class. I just don't get it.
It's the way you act. Like, I don't like, I'm not, like, I don't know, you go to bars, you like this life.
When do I go to bars?
Like, I tell
Now
you.
I'm curious. Now you got my...
So there she's used the term low class a couple of times. So this is going to play into what we call hypergamy. So women want to date across and up on socioeconomic hierarchies. So part of it is his behavior, but really what I feel like she's getting at is that there's no hypergamy. Therefore, she has this education. She seems to be, well, it's hard for me to judge that, but she doesn't seem to be from an extremely poor background, and she was expecting to be able to move up socioeconomically, and she's not seeing that when she gets to America. She's actually in his house, and she sees how he lives in his economic situation, and also the way he behaves. So that's the social part. She doesn't feel like she's getting a big catch like maybe she expected when she was introduced to the friend of her friend's husband, right? Which is this guy here, Mike. So women in her situation, what she's done is the opposite. She's actually done hypogamy. She's basically in a relationship where she feels at least that she is dating down, and part of that it might have been the fact that she has this biological clock. She may have felt desperate and she just went for it. Now she's actually there in the situation. She doesn't actually have the child. She doesn't have that emotional connection with him or tied to him yet. So yeah, definitely not looking like they're the most compatible in this situation.
Please explain this to me with your high IQ.
It's I cannot accept it, this attitude. You treat me this way, I don't respond it. Why do I have to react on this bull?
Well, I'm not getting.
I don't know what kind of relationship and who was your ex-wife. She probably also this class and all this strange stuff.
Natalie, you talk
and
about this.
It's not about
you talk
me.
about this class. What class do you fit in? What are you doing? You're on
don't
a
try
pedestal up here. Why do you put yourself on a pedestal? What makes you better than anyone else? You say everyone's low class and this and this. What makes you better? Tell me.
Everyone.
You. What makes you better than anyone?
Michael, it's only you
What
and
makes
I.
you high class?
And we don't respect each other. If you don't respect me, it's terrible because we cannot communicate. That's all.
I'm still trying to figure out this disrespectful part. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of stuff, and it's just, you know, I mean, if it's not going nowhere, it's not getting nowhere, and...
So again, what we're seeing, let's take stock of the situation before we move on to the next point. We're seeing that she is in her mid-30s, about to hit the wall, so she's got this biological clock, and she sees herself as higher socioeconomic status than him, or that he's not living up at least to the socioeconomic expectations she had. Maybe that was created by her friend who married the other American guy who's his friend was Mike's friend, and maybe he's higher socioeconomic status and she expected that. Basically, now they're in the situation where, you know, first she was desperate to have the baby even before they got on the plane to America. Now she doesn't seem to be pregnant, and in a situation I think many a foreign guy, American guy who's brought a woman from Eastern Europe to the US faces. Now they're back in their local dating market, or back in the US dating market, and her value will stay in that market just because of her looks, primarily based on looks. Like us guys, we're visual first of all, right? So just biology, she's going to be probably 2 points in the scale of 10 higher in the US than she would be here, just because they're more beautiful women in Ukraine, especially because they're not living in even a big city there. So she's probably one of the more attractive women, even at 34 in the area, I would imagine. And socioeconomically, obviously, Ukraine is a lot lower than the US. So now he's gone back there. He's not, he's probably dropped a point or two, and then she had these expectations that he would be here, and he's here. So already we're looking at value gaps. That's really important to look at that podcast. And now we're going to see a nightmare for a lot of guys who do bring women back to the US.
Mike, what is the status of your relationship today? You're obviously not sitting together like the rest of the couples.
I wouldn't say there was a relationship right now at all.
So their relationship breaks down. She's moved out apparently, and let's see what she's up to.
Except for maybe on paper.
Natalie, what is the relationship? How do you describe
not
the
together.
relationship? No relationship.
I left.
So she has left him. Now that they're in the US, America.
Back your ass back Ukraine.
I'm not in Washington anymore.
You're not in Washington?
No, I'm in Florida.
So she's moved from Washington, the state of Washington, that's why I look quite rural, to Florida. Actually, in Florida, there are a lot of Ukrainians and Russians living there, so maybe it's more comfortable. But interesting, moved to a different part of the country. And as you mentioned, on paper, they still have a relationship, which means I'm guessing there's a nexus between him and the fact that she can still stay in America.
You moved to Florida.
Yes.
Okay.
How about that?
Before.
Why shouldn't go ask them back in your country?
Exactly, two pertinent questions there. Why the hell didn't she go back to Ukraine? Why she stayed on in America? And who the hell is she with now? So let's see if we get any sort of clarification.
Before we go, Mike and Natalie, we just want to know, is this relationship over?
Yeah.
So no more relationship.
Mike says yes. Natalie?
Yes. I'm excited because Michael officially let me go. So I say to him, thank you. God bless you, all the best. Where I'm gonna live, I don't know. Maybe I will live to Ukraine. Maybe I find a way to stay here.
So thank you very much for sponsoring my visa to get to Uncle Sam to the US. And now maybe she'll go back to Ukraine, or maybe she'll find a way of staying in America.
Hearing Jovi and Yara say that Natalie came and visited them, and they all went out to dinner, and she brought another guy friend, I was just shocked, blown away, like, wow, all right. I mean, I was still sitting at home waiting, holding on to the last prayer, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
So she's already moved on to a new guy who can presumably help her stay on in America. So basically she upgraded. This is what often happens with the value gap. When she gets to America, her value is higher than in Ukraine. And the guy she's with, his value is less in the US than Ukraine. And there's just a big value gap. She doesn't see it as hypergamous at all. She sees that she's hypogamous, that she's downgrading basically socioeconomically. She's with him, and she's got better options to stay on in America. So she's kind of, I guess, using her beauty arbitrage now that she's in the US. Very typical scenario.
You wanted to be married, and now you've run
Whatever.
off.
I mean,
you
I'm
wanted to
sorry.
be married just to stay in the country.
Sorry?
Why did you use him? You could never. You can't
Trisha, I
even
was
say
in
that
love
you ever
with him.
loved him.
I loved him so much. It's not true. I was in love with
Is that why
Michael.
you threw the ring back
If
in the
I wasn't
suitcase
in love
before-
with him, I would never
You
cry
were so
over
in
some
love with
bitch who
him.
sends him naked picture.
I'm sick of hearing her be the victim, man. If you don't like Mike don't want you, take your ass home.
Ooh. So she's getting confronted for her behavior.
If you don't love him, get the out of here.
Natalie, if you guys divorce, you go back Ukraine, yes?
Probably.
Right? Let me please say, Visa K1, this is people who made it. This is why we fight for our process so long time. And people like you come this country for live here. Why not take different visa? Why not take K3, K5 or another visa? Why okay here, K1 visa? For marry guy and stay here legal?
So they're actually married. Okay. Well, yes, that's why on paper they're still together, and basically he's facilitating her having time to find a new guy in the US. Complete chump in this scenario.
Can I remind you that if I would be that way, I would wait until I get papers. I would not leave Michael.
Okay, if you
It doesn't
divorce, you
matter
go
to
back
me.
your country, yes, right? No, you stay here. This
For
is what I
now,
wanna
yes.
say.
Well, so you use Mike
But
to get to
You
America.
use Mike for green card.
Yeah?
Okay. What can I say? If it looks like.
So she's basically kind of a little bit blasé whether they think she's a green card girl or not. But there you see that she's really likes the idea of staying in the US.
I know you hate me, but I don't hate you.
I don't.
And I'm sorry,
You know
I
what?
really thought
I
you
feel like all you do is scam. Scam. You've been nothing but evil to him. I don't blame you for wanting to better yourself, but you should not have used Michael
How can I
to
use
get.
him? How did I use
You
him?
used him to get to America, and then
Oh
as
my
soon
God,
as you could,
you know-
you run off.
Please.
You
Can I speak?
used him. You lie. You lie, you lie, you lie. You're not even strong enough or big enough to tell your mom that you're not with him no more. You're the one making all the mistakes. You even said bad things about Bo, how Bo stole your jewelry. Bo didn't steal your jewelry.
Who stole them? They disappear. You know, they...
You pawned them.
What is
You went to
pawned
a pawn shop and pawned them and got money for them.
Are you joking?
You can't manipulate everybody all the time to get what you want, and that's all you do.
So that's the end of that. Super melodramatic at the end, but basically, yeah, he's gotten used by a green card girl. So there you go. That's my short review of that particular couple and how it all transpired. So let's just do a quick review before the sun sets. I can see it's orange, just about to go over the port. The cranes are now basically a silhouette here. So basically he had pretty strong game at the beginning in the sense that it was social circle game, he did it the right way, he had a connection, he did come over to Ukraine, but he was already conscious of the value gap basically, and he kind of just ignored it, it seemed. Brought her to the US, at least held out and didn't have a child with her, because that would have made it worse obviously. Basically she was really pushing to have the child before they got the K1 to come to the US. Then when she got there, she didn't see him as high enough value. She didn't want to be hypogamous. Maybe she'd had the child, she would have stayed with him for a few years, and dealt with that hypogamy in terms of dating down socioeconomic, which women in general don't want to do. They want to be hypergamous, which is date across and up socioeconomic hierarchies. Then she just looked around and saw her other options. I could go back to Ukraine, or I can find some other guy here in the US. They were already married, so obviously decided to stay past 90 days. Gives her lots of time until he divorces her and she has to leave. And at that stage, apparently she's already dating some other guy who can probably take care of that for legally and financially, I presume. So how could Mike have avoided all this emotional heartbreak? Obviously investing all this time into a relationship obviously crumbled. And obviously I guess suspected he also invested a reasonable amount financially into the whole thing. Well, if he had reached out to me and watched my videos beforehand, then he could have gotten on a consulting call with me or invested in me as his advisor, the insider, as some of my clients describe me as. Others describe me as their consigliere, Connor, which is advisor in Italian. Also the mob uses that word quite a bit. So down below in the description to this video is a link to my consulting options. Better to invest in those now than going ahead and ending up in a relationship and then 2 years down the line, 6 months down the line, a year down the line, whatever happens to be, basically realizing that you've made a huge mistake, and then you have to pay a way bigger price in terms of finances. As I said, time waits for no man, and definitely, even if the wall situation was definitely Natalie or Natalia was a lot closer to the wall than Mike in that situation, still has more time. He ain't getting any younger, so definitely you don't want to invest that amount of time with the wrong person. And lastly, financially, investing your money in obviously subsidizing someone and getting visas for them, and maybe even flying them back and forth. can cost you a lot of money, and then you got the divorce afterwards. I don't know what kind of, did he have a prenup, or what kind of situation, or how it's going to work out financially. Maybe with laws in some states in the US, he might even end up having to finance her, even though she's off with some other dude. It can be a real nightmare. So avoid yourself all the hassle and invest in a consulting call. At least down below is the link. And obviously, the sun is just disappearing. It's probably gonna last another minute or so before it's completely gone on another beautiful Indian summer's evening in Odessa, Mama. It's now getting, still mid-September, we'll say. Getting closer to late September. And I'm gonna take off because I'm gonna enjoy another evening and then go and travel a little bit and film some new vlogs. So I'll see you very soon in the next video. Do побачення, до свидания. Ciao, ciao from Odessa, Mama, in soft freedom, Ukraine.
SAR Experience.